Ladies and gentlemen, your feature presentation.
Is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever, strengthening the tie.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Making It Last podcast. I'm your host, Noreen Delian. I am happy that this is our very first recording that's being done by video. We're transitioning to video, and I believe our people will appreciate that. And this is full circle for me because the very first episode that I did in 2017 was with this woman, my friend, Eva Forde. Welcome, Eva.
Has it been since 2017?
17. That's right.
That can't be right.
That's right.
What?
That's right. That's right.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
Where the time goes.
here we are, full circle. So
Here
Eva
we
is an
are.
author, business coach. She has a master's in social work. So she is more than qualified to speak about this issue, which is how can a coachable mindset foster healthy relationships? So to give a context, Eva, what would you classify as a coachable mindset?
So I'm coming from the social work arena. And I know a lot of people don't really understand social work. No shade to them, because before I got into the profession, I didn't really understand it either. I thought it was just, a profession where you take away kids from their
Wow.
loving parents.
Okay.
Nothing like that. The thing that I do love about the training of social work is that it's a human-based profession. So we're learning psychology, we're learning anthropology, we're learning about sociology, human behavior in the social environment. And one of the things that, this helps us do is it helps us to help people better, helps us to get a context of what's going on in the world of the person who's sitting in front of us, or with the community that we're working with, or the organization that we're working with. It gives us a context, right? And so what we find is, predictably, that families, individuals, organizations that have the best results, right? So they're in need in some way. Social worker comes in to help.
Okay.
Capacity. And what we find is that the ones that have the best results are what we would call coachable. They're open. There's actually a readiness scale. I don't know if people have heard of it, but you can go online and type in readiness scale. And it's something that we learn in school to really assess how coachable, how open are people to the change that you are proposing or that you're coming in for, right? So if, again, an entity is not, very high on the readiness scale, then there's not a whole lot that you can do. You've got to then support that person or that organization or that family or entity, again, to get to the point where they are ready to, receive the help, whatever help that is. So the same principle applies in relationships, right?
Okay.
So, a lot of times, I don't know that I am the best person to talk about this, because I'm not married.
You want relationships in general. Don't think only
relationships in general. Yeah.
In general.
I don't know if it says something about me, but but one of the things that I do know from my experience in relationships, romantic or other, is that the successful ones are ones where both people are open and coachable. So again, that's you're willing to learn. You don't stop learning. You don't stop finding out not just things about the other person, but about yourself. One of the things that I found out in one of my more recent relationships was that, news to me, I wasn't perfect.
Oh. Well, it's a good thing you learned that now.
It's a good thing I learned that, right? No,
Mhm.
no. What I mean is that I really had to do some work on myself, not, not necessarily therapeutic work, but I had to like check myself, or, be willing to look at, oh, wait a minute. I thought I was being nice, but what was really going on? Yes, I was being nice, but I was being nice in the way that I want to be nice, which to this other person translated as me not, respecting them in the way that they wanted to, right? So I talk about this stuff, right? But then I thought that, oh, I had it all together. But then looking, when that was brought to my attention, that actually, Eva, I would prefer if you don't do this. It's like, oh, wait a minute, but everybody else liked it. How come you don't like it? It's not that everybody else is wrong or right. It's just that this person needs me to show up in a different way. And if I care about this person, I need to be willing to be open enough to say, okay, that's your way. And because I care about you and love you and respect you, I want to show up for you in that way. Again, no skin off of my back, because I care about this person. But again, I one of the things I do pride myself on is being open and flexible and coachable. So it's definitely harder for people who aren't used to that. And within our Jamaican context, I hear a lot of people saying, I saw me stay.
Yes.
I saw me born, right? Me a November baby. I saw me stay. But okay, no. That is an excuse, and you're actually giving away your power. And what you're saying is, I can't change. First, you're saying, I don't want to change, and I can't change. And again, if we're talking about relationships and making them last and improving them, then that means we need to, we have to put another person or other people within this framework, within this context. It's not just about us.
You said earlier the whole idea of course being open and willing to learn, and for you personalized it. You said in a recent relationship because you cared about the person. All right, so for somebody who's listening and they're gonna say, there are very few relationships I care about. So is that then going to mean that for them, they will only be open and willing to learn just in those relationships that they care about?
That's a great question. I think it may come down to what matters to you. So I'll say for me, what matters to me before I even get to another person is me. What matters to me is my personal development, my personal growth, my journey, this journey here on earth to be the best version of myself. So that is what guides how I interact with others, and my desire and willingness to remain coachable and open. It's because I have goals for myself. Okay. And I have standards for myself. So I think that it would have to start with self, because I get, listen, not everybody is a people person or wants to even, try. And it's kind of like, it's easier to stay in your bubble and in your corner, in your shell. I get it. I really get it. Especially, I think, after this pandemic, and a lot of us have gotten comfortable in our, in these new, what did they say? The new normal, right? And so I get it. So yeah, that's why I say, figure out, well, what do you want your life to look like? Because we are created as social beings. Even if you're an introvert, we're created to be social beings. Doesn't mean you have to be all over people. But definitely we need each other. We have to, engage with one another. And so, this life can be long, and there's many ways to live this life, right? You can live it as an adventure. You can live it as, you're scared all the time. There's many, many ways to live this life. So figure out how you want to live yours. And then, plan accordingly, because if you want a deep experience with this life, right? So I always go back to like the fundamentals.
And I'm gonna pause you right there. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Sure.
Are you struggling to become an effective communicator? Let Noreen Daly, the communications specialist, get you there. Services include communications consultancy, one-on-one coaching, public speaking and debate training, leadership and team building sessions, plus much more. Visit noreendaly.com for more info. Noreen Daly, redefining the way you communicate.
So, the whole idea of a branding strategy sounded so exotic and so fancy to me. But after having several conversations with Neon, I now have a clearer understanding. I am sure of what my identity is, what it is that I want people to see Noreen Daly as. Thanks, Neon. Thanks, Splint. Visit them at wearesplint.com.
Are you looking for one-of-a-kind products customized to suit your needs? Then shop at Trending Things, the place where customization is always an option. From personalized gifts to apparel, accessories, drinkware, and home decor, you name it, we make it. Get your favorite designs on any item for party favors, weddings, graduations, or any special occasion, all at affordable prices. What are you waiting for? Visit our website at trendingthings.com to order your trendy item today. Trending Things, bringing creativity to the things you love.
If you've got, figure out the type of life you want, right? And if you want a deep experience in this life, then it's probably going to involve other people. I cannot remember, Noreen, maybe you know this, how many billion sperm are, ejaculated during conception.
Don't do that.
The point I try to make is it's a miracle that each one of us is here.
That's right.
That's the point I'm trying to make. It's a miracle that we're here. And so since you're here, you get to design your life experience to a great extent based on what you want. So for me, deep, profound relationships are important. So I like to look in people's eyes. I like to, have conversations that are not just surface, but that a lot of that has to do with my personality and what I want out of this life. What do you want? Because if you really have that desire and that why, it's going to, like I said, dictate then how you show up and how you make yourself available to others.
I'm going to backtrack a bit. You made a comment earlier, and yes, for the Jamaicans that are listening, they can relate, but people to some degree usually get set in their ways. How then? And sometimes society encourages that too, to say, okay, if you're this way, people just adjust accordingly. How then can we say to people, try to switch that, change that, and just be open, be willing to learn? Because even as old as you may become, there's always something that you can learn about each other. And some people say, but no, we've been together for umpteenth years. I know her, she knows me. How then do we say to them, switch that and just always be open and be willing to learn? So
the question is, how do you help someone that's not coachable be coachable? Be willing to be coachable?
basically, because a lot of people are set in their ways, and sometimes it's not even so much about age. It's just how people have been socialized to say, hey, this is just how I am. People just have to adjust.
Yeah. So honestly, Noreen, there's not one answer for that, because here's the thing. There are we can change at any age. Age is not, our brains have what they're calling neuroplasticity. We can change our brains. We can change the programs that we've adopted over the years. So just like that, American movie Scrooge, where Scrooge is, he's this crackety old man. and he has this night with these spirits, and then in the morning he's a different person.
Right.
Yeah, that's rare, but it can happen if you have a big enough why. So for those that have never heard of this concept before, but there's a great book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. And the context is, it's really a business book, but it's been expanded for life. It's really great, a great principle to live by. And he says, listen, if you want to change anything, before you change anything externally, start with why. Start with why you would even want to change. And a lot of people, I think, in our Jamaican context don't have a why, or they don't have a strong why to want to change. And so then it goes back to that readiness assessment. There's not a whole lot you can do to make someone want to change. But what you might be able to do is to help them really kind of come face to face with their why. Like, why would you want to stay in a conflict in this relationship when you have the opportunity to improve it? You know, why is this so important for you to argue with this person? Or why is it, you know, why do you feel like you have to hold on to this bitterness? Why? Start with that why, right? Because that then can, if the person is, again, kind of open, even a little bit open to asking themselves that question or to answering that question, then you start to peel away some of that exterior, that wall. Because, you know, I didn't grow up in Jamaica, but I lived in Jamaica for 15 years, and it can be rough, and rough in the sense of emotionally, a lot of us have built up walls because, you know, it can be emotionally very scarring in different situations. And I think our society really reinforces, like, you know, stop the crying, man. Sure. I know nothing. I saw it go, man. Sure. And in many situations, our feelings, our emotions are not acknowledged.
That's
true.
True.
So we've learned how to bury them. They're not dead. We've just learned how to ignore them or bury them or push them to the side. And so when you ask somebody to be open and coachable, a lot of times it's not that they wouldn't want to do it. They don't know how to. Because they haven't been allowed to do it. They've been, you know, it's been hammered in us that you've got to be strong, that you got. I remember, I can't remember exactly what the tragedy was, but there was a tragedy of a death, a particular tragic death. And I kept hearing people say to the survivors, be strong, be strong, be strong. And I'm saying, why would you tell them to be strong? If there's ever a time to be weak, to be vulnerable, to cry, to let it out, it's right now. Don't be, that's the worst advice. But that's the thing that we think, we've rehearsed, and we say that this is what we value. We value strength. We value getting on with things. And that's caused a lot of damage. And we don't necessarily see the damage immediately, but it comes out in child abuse. It comes out in the yelling. It comes out in the chopping up of people. It comes out in very violent ways. And it's because we haven't nurtured these real parts of ourselves that are parts of God, that God has given us. We haven't nurtured them. We haven't allowed them to express themselves. And so it is hard. I get that it's hard. So I don't know that I've answered your question at all. But for those that have the patience to talk to people and ask them their why, and really kind of, you know, be willing to hold their hand and say, yeah, this is a scary topic. Yeah, I know, you know, this is, you probably haven't ever talked about this before. And that's why you don't want to talk about it. If you're willing to stay in that kind of ring with someone and they're willing to stay in with you, I believe you can make breakthroughs. I've seen it myself, but it doesn't usually happen quickly unless the person wants it to happen anyway.
As we're wrapping up, you've said a lot. And if it is that you could limit all of what you said or just condense it in a 3-step process in terms of how to be coachable, because when you're coachable, it will then foster a healthy relationship. What would that 3-step process be?
Wow. No pressure. I think
You're bright. You can handle it.
I would say, you know, I would say it's a constant checking of yourself first, right? That would be step one. Check yourself. You know, because being coachable suggests that someone else is offering you some guidance or some insight or something that you can learn from, right? So staying in that state of humility, there's a saying, I don't remember who said it, maybe it was Socrates or Plato or somebody that said, you know, the person who stops learning is ignorant, or the man who knows everything knows nothing. So again, suggesting that we've got to stay coachable, we've got to stay open, we've got to stay willing to learn. And so that would be step one, is to remain humble yourself and just acknowledge that you do not know everything. Your name is not Jesus Christ. Your name is whatever is on your birth certificate, which means your knowledge is finite. So there's always something to learn. I think the second thing I would say is recognize that everybody is on their journey.
That's right.
And so just because someone is closed today doesn't mean that they won't have an epiphany at some point, or they won't run into someone, or that your connection in their life isn't having a profound impact. You might not see it today, but just don't count people out. Everybody's on their journey. You're on your journey, and you know, you're going to be a different person in 10 years than you are today. I hope. If you stay coachable, you definitely will. And you're likely a different person today than you were 10 years ago. So that would be step two. And then I think the third thing I would say is it's kind of similar to the second, which is believe the best about people. And I think if you can believe the best about people and not try to fix them, but just believe that, listen, God's got all of this in God's hands. You know, again, I am not Jesus Christ. I'm on my path. They're on their path. My job is to, you know, just allow them, give them space, and show up as the best version that I can. So it is kind of like a circle, right? Because when you're showing up as the best version that you are, then you are open and humble and coachable, allowing them to be on their path, not trying to fix anybody, but just to be there.
Thanks for sharing, my friend.
You're welcome. Happy to. And congratulations for bringing the podcast online. This is beautiful. I feel very privileged and honored to be here and to be your first guest.
Yes, this was Make It Last podcast. It's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. I'm Noreen Daly. Until next time.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.